In the shadow of the Cold War, a woman whispered a prophecy that chilled the Oval Office. Jeane Dixon, the enigmatic confidante of presidents, warned in 1968 of asterisk, a world-shaking event destined to unravel humanity by 2025. Asterisk, for decades, her words seemed lost to history, until now. As we stand at the threshold of her foretold year, the echoes feel unnervingly precise. Wars fracture continents, from Eastern Europe to the South China Sea. AI bleeds from labs into battlefields, rewriting the rules of power. Climate systems. Convulsed glaciers retreat, cities bake, and ancient forests burn. Even the skies pulse with solar storms, as if aligning with her cryptic mention of cosmic intervention. Was Dixon tapping into a thread of destiny? Or are we witnessing the collision of human choices she somehow glimpsed? The truth hides between her authenticated White House access and the cold precision of our unfolding crisis. Tonight, we trace her words through the smoke of today's headlines, not as fearmongers, but as seekers. Because the most haunting question isn't if her prophecy resonates, but why it resonates now. The clock ticks toward 2025, and the world holds its breath. She moved through the corridors of power like a ghost, a woman whose name echoed in the Oval Office before it ever graced supermarket tabloids. Jeane Dixon, born humbly in Wisconsin, yet destined to become the prophet to presidents, was no mere fortune-teller. In the fevered days of the Cold War, while nuclear dread hung thick over Washington, she wielded something far more potent than crystal balls: access. Nixon confided it in her. Reagan invited her counsel. J. Edgar Hoover's FBI documented her visions with chilling seriousness. But peel back the glittering veneer of her celebrity, the syndicated columns, the Tonight Show appearances, the best-selling books, and you uncover a meticulously crafted alchemy. Dixon fused Catholic mysticism, newspaper astrology, and a razor-sharp instinct for the anxieties of her age. She didn't just predict, she performed. When cameras rolled, her voice dropped to a whisper, her eyes fixed on some unseen horizon theatrics that transfixed a nation desperate for certainty. Yet recently declassified files hint at a colder truth. Her famed White House warnings were often strategic whispers, amplified by aides-seeking influence. Her 1956 prediction of Kennedy's death, published after his assassination in a rewritten column, her apocalyptic 1968 warning, coincidentally timed with the chaotic Democratic National Convention. Even her supporters quietly admitted Dixon's power lay not in supernatural sight, but in her genius for reading headlines and human fear. She spoke of cosmic signs. As Soviet satellites pierced the heavens, she warned of plagues as pandemics filled the news. Today, as we sift through archives yellowed by time, a pattern emerges. Dixon mirrored back the terrors of her era, gifting politicians and public alike a seductive illusion of control over chaos. And that, perhaps, is her most enduring prophecy, the timeless hunger to believe that anyone can see the storm before it breaks. Now, as our own world trembles with familiar dread, we must ask, was Jeane Dixon a vessel of destiny, or merely a mirror held up to humanity's deepest fears? The answer hides in the shadow between history and mystery, where her legend truly begins. The archives crackle with echoes of her voice, each fulfilled prediction a shadow puppet, dancing between truth and illusion. Begin with the darkest, years before Dallas. Dixon allegedly warned Parade magazine in 1956 that a blue-eyed Democrat would die violently in office. When Kennedy fell, her words became prophecy etched in blood. But dig deeper, and the ink stains tell another story. That column? Quietly rewritten post-assassination, a fact confirmed by media historians in 2023. Then came 1968, the year cities burned and a king was slain. Dixon claimed she'd foreseen Martin Luther King's murder in a tremor of dread, whispering it to FBI contacts months prior. Yet Hoover's declassified memos, dusted off in 2021, reveal no record of her warning. Only her retroactive certainty. Watergate followed a scandal she supposedly named, a darkness poisoning the White House in 1971 interviews. But listen closely. Her phrasing was so vague it could have fit any administration's scandal. Then the Challenger. In 1985, she described a bird of metal falling from the sky, torn apart by fire, a line that froze the nation when the shuttle exploded months later. Here, the veil thins. Aerospace engineers note her metaphor mirrored existing fears of rocket failures after near disasters in '81, but it's 9/11, where the ghost of Dixon truly haunts us. For years, believers circulated a quote, "In the early 2000s, terror will rain from Steelbirds onto New York." Chilling? Absolutely. Authentic? Forensic linguists compared it to her verified writings in 2020. The syntax, the cadence, the vocabulary don't match. The prophecy first surfaced on a conspiracy forum in 2003. Yet millions still swear she foresaw the towers now descend into the vault of her forgotten visions. In 1958, as Sputnik beeped overhead, she prophesied World War III would erupt. By 1964, even naming the trigger, China will invade California. When peace held, she blamed shifted timelines. In 1962, she declared cancer would be eradicated by Christmas, when it wasn't. Silence. Her 1979 prediction that a Soviet comet strike would annihilate the U.S. in 1983, lost to history as Reagan outlived the USSR. These weren't mere misses, they were catastrophic failures of foresight, buried under the glitter of her hits. So why do we remember the light and forget the dark? Modern neuroscience offers a key. Our brains cling to patterns like lift-rafts. When Dixon's Challenger metaphor aligned with tragedy, it fused into our collective memory, a phenomenon called illusory correlation. Her Kennedy prediction persists not because it was real, but because we crave narrative symmetry. In chaos. Even now, AI deepfakes twist her words anew. TikTok algorithms resurface edited clips, claiming she foresaw COVID or the Ukraine invasion. But the truth hides in plain sight. Cross-reference her archives, and a pattern emerges. Dixon's hits consistently followed already emerging crises. She spoke of MLK's death amid escalating civil rights violence. She hinted at political scandals as Nixon's paranoia deepened. Her genius wasn't seeing the future, it was smelling the storm on the present wind. And that is the real prophecy hiding in her legacy. In every era, humanity will conjure seers who reflect its deepest terrors back at it. As you watch wars rage and awaken in our 2024, ask yourself, are we seeing Jeane Dixon's vision unfold? Or are we, like those before us, simply painting her ghost onto our fears? Her words drift from 1968 like smoke from a distant fire. Ah, convergence of war, famine, and cosmic fury by 2025. But strip away the mystique, and the fragments demand cold scrutiny. A child born in the East shall wield the sword of intellect, she murmured. Today, as China's AI child, Quantum Labs, unveils drones that hunt in swarms, and neural nets rewrite human cognition, the metaphor curdles into possibility. Plague of the spirit shall hollow mankind, she warned. Look around. Gen Z's loneliness epidemic deepens as algorithms fracture attention spans. Therapy apps boom while empathy atrophies, a mental health collapse the WHO now calls the second pandemic. Then, the most chilling line, heavenly fire descends to cleanse. In Dixon's era, this meant nuclear dread. But today's scientists track a different apocalypse. NASA confirms the 2025 solar maximum, a once-in-20-year surge of solar flares capable of frying satellites, grids, and the fragile web connecting our world. Just last month, a geomagnetic storm nearly blacked out Sweden. A warning shot across Earth's bow. Now witness the prophecy's three horsemen riding through our 2024 war. Ukraine's fields still bleed. Taiwan's strait simmers with warships. And AI-fueled disinformation poisons elections from India to America, precisely the intellectual sword Dixon hinted at. Famine. Remember the 2023 heat dome? Wheat withered across Canada, rice drowned in Pakistan's floods. Now, in 2024, El Niño tightens its grip, Ethiopia starves, cocoa prices explode, and the Global Report on Food Crisis warns of unprecedented hunger. Cosmic signs. Beyond solar storms, asteroids like Apophis skimmed Earth in March 2024. Near-miss NASA called sobering, while SpaceX's Starlink satellites now clutter the very heavens Dixon invoked. But here lies the razor's edge. Dixon spoke in riddles, not roadmaps. Her child, born in the East, could as easily point to India's AI surge or a Tibetan activist shifting global consciousness. Heavenly fire might be gamma-ray bursts detected weekly by the James Webb Telescope or the hellfire of hypersonic missiles tested daily. Even her timing wavers. Declassified diaries reveal she later muttered 2027 to a journalist. Yet the unease persists because the pattern fits. Not through supernatural sight, but because Dixon was a master of archetypal dread, the same dread now quantified in MIT's 2024 Global Catastrophic Risk Report. 87% of experts fear AI escalation, 92% predict climate-driven famine, 74% warn of solar grid collapse. Her prophecy endures because it's a dark mirror reflecting our century's documented perils. So as you watch this screen, remember, the true terror isn't that Jeane Dixon saw the future. It's that we're building it ourselves, missile by missile, algorithm by algorithm, degree by scorched degree. The cosmic intervention may yet be humanity's own hand, striking the match. Why do we lean into the whispers of seers when history's pages are stained with their failures? The answer doesn't lie in the stars, but in the labyrinth of the human mind. Imagine a locked room. A voice echoes. You feel unrest. A coming storm, your pulse quickens. Of course, you think war flickers on every screen. AI reshapes your job. The air itself feels hostile. This is the Barnum effect, the sorcery. of vagueness. Prophets like Dixon mastered it, spinning phrases like cosmic upheaval or a child born in the East that slithered into the cracks of any era's fears. They weren't predictions. They were ink blot tests for the soul. Now, witness the second spell, confirmation bias. When Dixon's Challenger metaphor aligned with tragedy, we carved it into stone. When she foresaw Soviet comets striking in 1983, we buried it like bones. Our minds are archaeologists of coincidence, treasuring shattered pottery that fits the narrative, discarding mountains of dust that don single quotes Today, this alchemy grows more potent. As Dr. Lena Petrova, a cognitive psychologist at MIT, observed in her 2023 study on digital age dread, apocalypse anxiety metastasizes in times of radical uncertainty, and we're drowning in it. Algorithms feed us prophecies like dopamine hits, each doom scroll a ritual to soothe the terror of chaos. See how TikTok psychics now harvest Dixon's playbook? Their predictions of AI uprisings or climate collapse use the same nebulous poetry, amplified by viral distortion. Yet peel back the curtain, and the machinery reveals itself. Our desperate need to believe the future isn't random. That someone holds the map dot, but here's the darkest truth hiding in the circuitry. Prophecies don't resonate because they're true. They resonate because we are the prophecy. When Dixon spoke of plagues of the spirit in 1968, she mirrored the riots, assassinations, and nuclear dread of her age. Today, as we hallucinate her 2025 warning onto AI blackouts and melting ice caps, we repeat the ritual. Not because Jeane Dixon saw tomorrow, but because we still tremble at the same abyss, the unbearable silence of an unknowable future. And in that silence, we'll always hear the whispers we crave, echoes of our own fear, dressed as destiny. Forget crystal balls. The true shape of 2025 is being carved in laboratories, ocean depths, and the silent fractures of our society's threats. Dixon's vague chaos never envisioned. First, the AI shadow war. While she spoke of a child in the East, engineers now race toward a darker dawn. Autonomous drones that choose human targets, deepfakes that collapse democracies. NATO's new AI command center in Virginia, activated last month, confirms it. We're already in the prelude. Ukraine's battlefield drones, guided by machine vision, are mere prototypes. By 2025, swarms may hunt without pilots. Elections in 40 nations will face AI-generated disinformation tsunamis, a reality the Pentagon's 2024 Digital Warfare Report calls extinction level for truth. Then, the climate reckoning. Dixon's heavenly fire missed the true inferno. Deep beneath the Atlantic, the ocean's heartbeat, the MOC current falters. February 2024 readings showed its weakest flow in 1,600 years. If it collapses by 2025, Europe freezes as the equator bakes, crop failures starve supply chains, and coastal megacities drown. Not prophecy physics. Greenland's ice sheets, shedding 30 million tons per hour right now, are the hourglass draining. NASA's Oh My God mission just detected warm water tunnels eroding them from below. A countdown even Dixon's mysticism couldn't fathom. But the deepest crisis, the unraveling within. While she warned of plagues of the spirit, surgeons general now document a pandemic she never named: loneliness. Trust is in freefall in governments, media, even neighbors. A 2024 Harvard study reveals 52% of young adults feel chronically disconnected. Algorithms fracture us into micro-realities where no truth is shared. When the next disaster hits, be it an eye or storm, will communities unite or shatter? Dixon's era feared nuclear annihilation, but ours faces a subtler decay, the death of collective hope. This is the Dixon paradox. She sensed humanity's spiral but mistook its form. Her 1968 prophecy echoed Cold War terrors, bombs, coups, celestial wrath. Today's apocalypse wears new masks, not missiles, but code that poisons perception, not divine fire. But oceans breathing their last, not assassins, but millions scrolling in isolated silence. The chaos she foresaw is real, but its face is ours. So where does prophecy end and responsibility begin? The UN's 2025 risk assessment warns these crises are converging. An AI-fueled misinformation spike during a climate catastrophe could collapse social order. Yet herein lies the power Dixon never grasped. We see the monster. Ocean sensors track every amok pulse. Ethicists are building AI constitutions. Grassroots movements are rewiring community trust. The prophecy isn't fixed. It's a warning flare we're still learning to read. Dixon saw a storm, but only now with satellites, neural networks, and the bitter wisdom of experience do we finally glimpse the eye. And in that stillness before 2025, a question hangs. Will we be the first generation to rewrite a prophecy? Dixon's true power was never seeing the future. It was forcing us to confront it. As we stand at the edge of her foretold chaos, remember, prophecy's greatest gift is not fear, but preparation. Across the globe, quiet revolutions are already defying the doom. In Tokyo, neighbors are weaving community resilience networks, digital and physical lifelines that activate during disasters, proving unity is the antidote to dystopia. In Brussels, lawmakers are forging ethical AI guardrails, banning lethal autonomous weapons by 2025, a human hand tightening on the genie's bottle. And in the Arctic, engineers are testing climate innovation that sounds like science fiction. Ships pumping ocean-cooling aerosols, carbon-sucking concrete, and nanofilters, cleansing the air we broke. These aren't miracles. They're choices. Yet here lies the final twist in Dixon's tale. She died in 1997, the very year a machine named Deep Blue defeated chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov. That was the real prophecy she never uttered. Not of cosmic fire or Eastern saviors, but of humanity's fragile dance with its own creations. The warning wasn't in her stars, but in that checkmate. When tools outthink us, will we master them or become pieces on their board? The answer is being written now. In village solar cooperatives restoring power before storms hit. In classrooms teaching algorithm literacy alongside grammar. In the UN's 2025 Climate Summit, where survival trumps politics. Dixon foresaw a cliff, but she didn't see the bridges we're building in the fog. So as her 2025 deadline nears, let this be our counter-prophecy. Chaos is inevitable. Collapse is not. The future remains unwritten, and the pen is still in our hands. As the clock ticks toward 2025, one question remains. Which shadow stirs your deepest unease? Does the specter of rogue eye chill your veins? Does the faltering pulse of our planet quicken your breath? Or does the silence of fractured societies echo in your bones? Cast your vote below not as a surrender to fate, but as a beacon for seekers navigating the storm. If this descent into prophecy's labyrinth has illuminated hidden corners of history and hope, smash the like button. It fuels our quest for truth. Subscribe and turn on notifications. For next week, we plunge into Part 2, Nostradamus 2025 Cyborgs, Comets, and the Codex hidden for centuries. Share this with fellow travelers, for in an age of algorithms and omens, the most radical act is to question together. And as the screen fades, remember, Jeane Dixon's greatest lesson wasn't in her predictions, but in our reaction to them. We stand at the crossroads she never imagined, armed with science, community, and the burning will to choose our path. The prophecy was never the end. It was the beginning. Watch next. AI oracles. How algorithms are becoming the new prophets. Already cued, where webbots whisper and machine learning forecasts glimmer with terrifying precision. The future is an unfinished story, and you are holding the pen.